Hi, I'm Ryan Szymanski, curator for Battleship, New Jersey Museum and Memorial. And today we've got a new donation of things to show you guys. A lot of this stuff we're not going to talk about that much, you've seen before, but this donation came from a former sailor named Tom Brigman, who works with the ship's Sea Cadet program now. And if you're interested in Sea Cadets, we'll leave a link for them in the description below. But Battleship, New Jersey Sea Cadet Troop is on the battleship. They actually spend their time on the ship as opposed to meeting at a YMCA somewhere. So much cooler group to be in than even other groups of Sea Cadets. But he spent some time out of country in the 80s and 90s, and so he's got some of the equipment that he was issued during that time frame. And he donated to the battleship so we can use it with our upcoming Marine exhibit that we're working on developing. Because all this stuff was the same sort of things that would have been issued to the Marines during that time period. And those of you who were in the Corps or recognize stuff from that period are going to recognize a lot of the equipment here. We've already talked about the web gear before in a separate video. Tom's stuff includes one of these, I think they're M84 Bianchi holsters for the M9. So with the drop leg one, I've never seen one of those in person before. It adds the strobe light pouch, and he, like so many of us do, has a baseball grenade that he's throwing in here. So got a bunch of cool stuff there. We've got Pasket vest and Pasket helmet here. But the main thing I want to talk about in this video is the gas mask. This is another one of those standard things that's issued throughout the 80s. And it's the first of the kind that would have been on the battleship post-World War II that the museum's collection has. And we've got some great footage of these being used on an Iowa-class battleship. This footage is from USS Missouri. While she's in the Persian Gulf, I think this is taken the day that they received fire from the Exocet missile, and they don't know what they're being shot at with. Of course, Saddam was using chemical warfare. So you can see they're pulling gas masks out of all these cabinets throughout forward plot. That's super interesting. Forward plot, obviously not 100% identical, but it's got a lot of the same cabinets. Ours are filled with manuals and not with gas masks, although the battleship does have an NBC or sometimes ABC warfare space in an old 40mm magazine just a little bit forward of us near turret 1 on the port side of the ship. They took that magazine space and they put a bunch of that equipment down there. That's where it would have normally been stored. And I could easily see if the ship was going into a environment like the Persian Gulf where poison gas had been used recently and knew it was in our enemy's arsenal, I imagine it would have been issued from that space out. Throughout the 1980s, the ship does receive a number of modifications for NBC warfare. NBC is nuclear, biological, chemical, sometimes ABC, atomic, biological, chemical, but NBC is the newer way of saying it. Anyway, the ship receives like decontamination washdown stations on the main deck relatively late in the ship's career, so late in fact that they do not show up in the blueprints. But it's one of those things that they were concerned about, and so one of the tools at the disposal of the crew were gas masks like this one. So this is an M17 gas mask. You can see it's even stenciled right here. These pouches have always intrigued me because during the same time period that this is being issued in the 1980s, we're switching over to the nylons for all of these pouches. All these pouches would have, during older periods, been this duct canvas type material like you see with this older, probably 1950s produced 1911 magazine pouch. But they're being replaced by these nylon, lighter weight, less water absorbent materials as a result of experience gained during the Vietnam War. And yet, this is still the same kind of canvas material that you would have seen issued during World War II or Korea. This gas mask first sees deployment in the late 1950s, pretty much immediately post-Korea. They start making the M17s. They come in 3 varieties, M17, A1, and A2. And this is the A2 version, the latest one. And the pack is even stenciled with that. And these are issued all the way through the mid-'80s when they start to be replaced by more modern ones. The pack has an exterior pocket here, which I suspect would have been for something like this. This is your, how's it actually written here? Decontamination Kit Personal. So inside of this, you have 6 wipes. 3 wipes are type 1, 3 wipes are type 2. So if you get contaminated, you're supposed to wipe yourself down with 1 type 1 wipe, then 1 type 2 wipe, and then you've got 2 more sets of those in here for the next time you're contaminated. And I suspect this pocket on the exterior was for this, but as you can see, it's also issued with a clip, and it's a relatively watertight enclosed container, so it can hang loose like this. The straps here, you've got 2 types, a longer one and a smaller one. There are 2 configurations you can wear this, with like the longer one over the shoulder and the smaller one around the waist. Or alternatively, the way you see it worn on the Battleship most often, particularly by the Marine detachment, is with the longer strap worn as a waist strap and the smaller one around the leg. And you would normally see these worn on the left leg. And any sort of footage you see of American troops deploying, Panama, Grenada, all of these sorts of interventions, you see them wearing these here. These are great in case the enemy is using chemical warfare on you, or in case you're using like the riot control type gases and things like that, or if they're using them on you. So they have multiple functions. If you're using them for more of a less than lethal law enforcement thing, or if you're under the sorts of chemical attacks that we were very much expecting to be under during the Gulf War. So that is the exterior of the bag. It's got 2 snaps at the top that are common to a lot of this type of equipment. You pull out the gas mask here, and it just fits over your head like this. It's got a strap. Notice Tom's got it all set up and ready to use with it folded out. So you put this over your face, and you'd pull this over, and you would pull the hood over the entire thing, and that will then cover everything. Older styles of the gas mask obviously just cover your face, but the newer styles with these will cover everything, and this will even tie into some of the rubberized like mop suits that would cover all of your equipment. Now, one cool thing about this gas mask, it's got a little straw here on the front of it. That is designed to interface with the canteen. You can see there's the older type of canteen that doesn't have anything special going on with the cap. The newer type, in addition to being able to unscrew, also has this piece right here with a rubber gasket in it, so that while you're wearing the mask, you can still drink out of the canteen. Obviously, the gas mask isn't doing you any good if you have to take the mask off to drink out of it. And that's one of the things that distinguishes the A1s, the A2s, and the regular M17 gas masks. The regular M17s don't have any sort of tube on them, the first models that were made for roughly the first decade that they were in use. The A1 models have the drinking tube added, smart addition, really great upgrade. They also have an extra tube added for giving mouth-to-mouth to somebody else who's been wounded. 2 problems were discovered with that after production. One, the person you're giving mouth-to-mouth to is not wearing a protective mask at all, so they're still succumbing to whatever sort of gas. And 2, while you are mostly protected in this mask, there's no sort of backflow regulator, so if the person you're giving mouth-to-mouth to coughs, that comes back up the tube into your mask and breaks your seal, and now you're getting the same stuff that made them cough inside of your mask. So by the A2 models, that is deleted, and that's the ultimate form of these, which would have most likely been the type issued on board this ship. So that's water tube, no mouth-to-mouth tube. But that's not the only thing that you would pull out of this bag. Also in here, we've got some filters. This gas mask represents a great improvement over previous gas masks because the filters are in the cheek pockets, which means, especially for the ship's Marines, if you've got a rifle and you're trying to get a cheek weld with that rifle, it doesn't have like the big thing like you see on the cartoony gas mask where it projects out the side. You can't bring your gun up to look at it. So this does away with that. The big downside to that, however, is the exterior cartridges. You unscrew, you throw a new one on. These interior cartridges get changed from inside the mask, so you've got to take the thing off to put a new one on. Now, unused in the bag in a regular moderate climate, the cartridges will last about a year. If you put it on and you start using it in an environment that there's no gas at all, the cartridge will last about 24 hours before the moisture in your breath really starts to destroy it or degrade it. If you put it on in a non-permissive environment, there are gases. The lifespan of the cartridge depends on how much gas is in the air, but it's usually 4 to 8 hours. So this doesn't really allow any sort of extended stay in gas. It gives you enough time to relatively quickly get out of that situation. But comes with spare cartridges that you can trade out. Again, once you've taken the mask off, which means ideally you have left that environment. And there's a pocket in the bottom here. And in that pocket, we've got a pair of eyepieces here. That's one of the things that can be most easily damaged or fogs up, causes all sorts of other issues. And we've got a waterproof bag for the waterproof bag that you use if you're going to be in some sort of wet environment to put your spare cartridges in. Because if these get wet, they're done. Forget about it. Get a new one. Other problem, this is made with some carcinogenic material, so breathing these in could lead to cancer. But why would you ever be breathing in this stuff in a filter and a gas mask? Fortunately, Tom never had to use this when he was in service, but this is a really cool addition to the collection because we see it as a general issue piece to our Marines and as something that was stored on board for our sailors for if they needed it. And because this one is so complete. It's not just a gas mask or a gas mask in the bag. It's got all of the accoutrements. So you can see the sort of things that a U.S. service member who is deploying out of country would be issued to take with them. And therefore, likely the same sorts of things in its entirety that would have been issued on this ship in the exact same time period. So this is an excellent addition to the museum's collection that we're looking forward to putting on display. And remember, if you're interested in the Sea Cadets, there's a link in the description below, and you can join and learn about a lot of this equipment and more often the more modern version. That's not the 40-year-old stuff. What's another piece of kit you'd like to see us illustrate in a future video? Let us know in the comment section down below, and maybe we'll be able to pull something out of the collection, or maybe we'll receive one in a future donation. We're currently taking donations of this sort of equipment for our upcoming Marine exhibit, because quite frankly, we didn't have all that much 80s era web gear and other sorts of stuff. And now we're starting to put together a pretty good collection that could outfit a couple of sailors' lockers, that could outfit a couple of the Marines' lockers. If you don't have any of this equipment but want to support the museum and our ongoing collections work and exhibit work, there's a link in the description below to donate to support the museum. Battleship New Jersey receives operating support from the New Jersey Department of State, also from a number of other businesses and private individuals like yourselves. We really appreciate your support. There's a link in the description below if you'd like to donate to support the museum. You can also support us by liking, sharing, and subscribing so more people find out about the museum and our channel. Thanks for watching.